Alright, so I'm feeling like crap. I haven't even brushed my hair today. I'm pretty sure this shirt is noticeably dirty, but there was also an episode of Steven Universe this week that I really want to talk about, and so even though I desperately want to be asleep, I want to talk about this episode more. So let's just get on with this. You know, I wasn't even thinking about the fact that the first of this new run of episodes would be Legs from Here to Homeworld, because it had been so long since I watched that episode that I forgot it was just an online release kind of deal, that it hadn't actually aired on Cartoon Network yet. Like, how wild is that? Like, how wild is it that there were probably people out there who watched this show who hadn't seen that episode yet until it aired on television? People who had to wait so long after everyone else had seen it before they could see it. Like, I'd hope that those people don't exist, that they eventually swallowed their pride or whatever it was that was keeping them from just going online and watching the episode, and they went online and watched the episode. But still, that's wild. The way that Cartoon Network schedules shows is just, it's garbage. Anyway, here we are with the second of this chunk of episodes, and it's one that nobody had seen except for, I'd imagine, the crew. And it follows directly after the events of Legs from Here to Homeworld. So if you don't remember Legs from Here to Homeworld or my thoughts on it, and I wouldn't blame you if you don't, my review of that episode should be linked up in the little corner thingy right now. Steven has been sent to Pink Diamond's room. He is as frustrated as everyone in the fandom is with the fact that he didn't really get a word in edgewise when he was talking to White Diamond. And so as background stuff happens that gives us a look into how Homeworld operates, which I'll get to in a minute, Steven throughout this episode is primarily aiming to get all of the diamonds together so that he can try to convince White Diamond to come back to Earth and help fix the corrupted gems. That is his primary priority here, though we do find out later on in the episode that he does have the goal of trying to convince them to stop being evil, too. Like, I made that recent video where I called out people for taking criticisms of this plotline way too far. But I do think it's interesting how far Steven seems willing to go to try to form some sort of sympathetic bond with these people. But again, that's something I'll touch on later on in the review. Pearl shows up to help Steven because, of course, the other diamonds still think that Steven is Pink Diamond and Pearl is Pink Diamond's Pearl. He goes off and he meets with Yellow Diamond and Blue Diamond separately in different locations and has separate talks with them about getting White Diamond to whatever would pass for a negotiating table in this place. And they each have their different reactions to that. They're in each of their unique attitudes. They each have their own opinions on whether or not that would ever work. But it's very, very clear. The consensus is that White Diamond is not going to want to talk to all of them at once, because things have changed since the last time they were all together. They don't get together anymore. The last time they got together was prior to the changeover from Era 1 to Era 2, which we now have confirmation did happen when they thought that Pink Diamond was killed. But throughout all of this, Steven has been having the feeling that this situation is in some way familiar to him. And I thought originally that we were getting a reveal that he was digging into more of Rose's memories or something, but the actual reveal is way better, and I honestly didn't see it coming until they were already revealing it to us, which, bravo for that. There was a mention from, I think it was Blue Diamond, that Pink Diamond used to throw parties for all of the diamonds, and all of the diamonds would come. Not, like, I don't think that was specifically what Pink Diamond was made for or anything, it's just what they'd let her do, considering how inexperienced she was. And Steven, as he is exploring more of Pink Diamond's living space, comes to realize that Pink's dynamic among the other diamonds is very much like the dynamic that he used to have among the crystal gems. And he sings a fantastic song, Familiar, about how this familiar feeling he's been getting is a result of his slow realization that that's the case. How he has this entire time been slowly realizing that he's effectively reliving the part of his life where he wanted to be there with the crystal gems, helping them in their fight, and he wanted to contribute to the team, but didn't really have a way to do that aside from just trying his best to make them happy, just with the diamonds instead of the crystal gems. And that now he has the experience of having actually elevated himself beyond that role, and that he thinks he can apply that experience to this situation. And become a more respected member of this diamond group and use that respect to convince them to change their ways. It was a really cool reveal, and it was handled with quite a bit of weight. And there were parallels drawn between this reveal and this decision by Steven and the reveal back in The Return of exactly what the nature of the Gem War was, and Steven's decision to go back and risk his life to help the others fight. He specifically references Pink Diamond throwing a tantrum and declaring that she is also a diamond, kind of like Steven threw a tantrum to get himself out of Greg's van and then ran back to the beach and declared that he's also a crystal gem. And I want to be clear here. While I don't like any episode of this show drawing direct comparisons between the diamonds and the crystal gems, that's not really what this episode is doing here. Like, in very superficial ways, that's kind of what it's doing. It's making the statement that both of these groups are technically Steven's family-ish in the case of the diamonds. But there's still a clear divide here. The diamonds are, at best, the kind of family that you're obligated to call family and who you see at, like, family holiday gatherings and despise every moment of it. But you still want them to be better people if they can be, you know? Whereas the crystal gems are his real family. That's the difference here. And I do think that Steven is entirely aware of that. He doesn't see the diamonds as good people or consider them to be as close to him or as important to him as the crystal gems are. And that's very, very good, because they're not, and they're not. They also really, really, really need to finally answer the question of just how aware the other diamonds are that the gems below them are just as sentient, just as sapient, just as alive as they are. Because they certainly don't act like they realize that. And the answer to that question is going to decide, finally, exactly how I view their behavior. Because regardless of what some people keep insisting, there is a difference between not realizing that beings that are so different as different kinds of gems are more or less the same than there is realizing that different kinds of humans who are exactly alike, aside from maybe skin color, are exactly the same. It is entirely possible that because gems are programmed, manufactured beings, the diamonds genuinely don't recognize that other gems are as alive as they are. That wouldn't excuse the way they've treated other gems, obviously, but it would at least explain it and go a long way towards explaining why they might have a change of heart down the line, assuming that that is where the show is going. Because, like, there are scenes in this episode where there's, like, these things called pebbles where it looks like they even act as tools for the diamonds, should the diamonds need tools or implements. Like, I'm pretty sure that, like, there's a gem transformed into a comb that Blue Diamond was using. I'm pretty sure that was supposed to be a pebble too. But, like, it seems that primarily they're supposed to go around within these diamond buildings and anticipate anything that a diamond might need and then build it super, super fast without ever being seen, because being seen would be unseemly. They very much remind me of, like, a working class, underprivileged, probably heavily abused version of something like the mice from Cinderella, which is pretty interesting since they're the ones who make the pink diamond dress that Steven is seen wearing in all of the promos for this arc. And we do learn from their behavior around Steven once they realize who exactly he is, that the theory that Pink was kinder to her gems than the other diamonds were is actually true for all that that says. And then, like, when Steven is walking through the halls in Yellow Diamond's part of whatever installation this is, the walls are actually gems. They're actually gems with faces and arms that are stuck together, having been used as building materials for these buildings. And what? That's like the most existentially horrifying thing I think we've seen in this show so far, aside from the fusion experiments in the cluster. Like, here we have thinking, speaking, living beings who are forced to be a building and pretend like they can't speak or think or move or feel, because if they do, Yellow Diamond will probably kill them. And, like, the pebbles are cute and the wall faces are even kind of cute, like the looks that they give Steven as he's walking around. There's a lot of personality in them, but at the same time it's just so creepy. It makes my skin crawl. And that was definitely, I think, the intention of this episode. It really did feel like it was two tones smacking into each other. That Steven is trying his best to look upon this place the way that he looks upon everything, with that sort of childlike wonder and innocence that he possesses, but he just can't. Which brings me to my assessment of Steven's plan to ingratiate himself to the Diamonds, make it clear that he's a different person, but then use all of that to convince them not to be space tyrants anymore. It's obviously going to fail. It's not going to work. Like, I think at best, maybe he'll be able to start to sway one of them, or start to sway blue and yellow, or maybe sway one of them but not the other, but definitely not White. He's definitely not going to convince White to help him at all. And that's going to lead into whatever the next big arc of the show is. But his plan overall is definitely going to fail, and I think even he is pretty aware that that's a distinct possibility here. This entire situation is just as screwed up as I think any serious fan of this show who understands the lore would have expected it to be, just in even weirder, creepier, unexpected kinds of ways. Like, I did a theory a long time ago that maybe gem buildings are grown from gems that have the ability to create building-like structures, and it looks like I was right. I just didn't want to be right in this way. Ew. This episode was mostly setup. Like, it was literally Steven coming to this decision and background stuff and nothing else. It was a setup episode setting up for the rest of this Diamond Days arc. But it was fantastic. I loved it. I loved it a lot. It's gotten me pumped to see the next episode coming next Monday at, 7:30? I didn't watch this exactly when it aired, so I don't even freaking know. Because holy crap, things are finally really happening in this show. And it's good. It's good. So far, it's been really good. It may all be happening a little fast, but what we're getting is still good. And this episode has already given me enough material for another theory, not this week, but for next week. So look forward to that. I'm certainly looking forward to it. But oh boy, this episode creeped me right out. All of that said though, guys, did it creep you out as much as it creeped me out? If not so, then let's get a discussion going in the comment section down below, or over on my Discord, a link in the description. But either way, this has been AJ22, and I will talk to you guys later.